Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. I'm Chucky 2009 and I make welding videos. So today we're going to be talking about welding galvanized steel and how to do it without very bad things happening to you. So alright, first off, what is galvanized steel? Well, you know, I got this pipe fitting of some sort, has a nice heavy galvanized coating, and for comparison, this is just your average run-of-the-mill hot rolled steel. It has that dull grayish mill scale coating it's called. This one has a little bit of light surface rust on it, but this is just your average piece of steel you pick up from your friendly neighborhood steel yard or whatever. This is something galvanized. As you can see, there's a very large color difference there. The galvanized fitting, a lot of the time it'll have all these little indentations in it. Makes it look like a, you know, generic galvanized trash can, but as you can see, completely different coatings. And breathing in burning mill scale from welding smoke, let's face it, welding smoke, really not all that good for you, but if you breathe in a little bit here and there, officially I recommend good ventilation and all that, but, well, unofficially that's all I'll say. This, on the other hand, will really mess you up if you breathe this stuff in. It's a zinc-based coating, very bad for your health. And what happens if you ingest this stuff, you ask? It varies. The symptoms are going to vary from feeling like everything is sore and you being really tired, not having much energy, you know, feeling like you're getting over a really bad head cold or something, to feeling like you're gonna die, to actually physically dying. I don't like to mess around or take chances with this stuff, but I do weld it on a somewhat regular basis, and I've never experienced any serious side effects once I felt like I was you know, kind of getting over the cold, that example I just gave. But there's some basic precautions you can take to not have extremely bad things happen to you. First and foremost, you're going to want to grind off as much of this crap as humanly possible in the area around where you're going to be welding. Now, part of this is because it's a thick coating that is not easy to weld through. TIG welding this, that would not be good at all. MIG welding it, you can MIG weld galvanized steel, but it runs like crap. You get a lot of spatter, you get a very brittle weld. It's not recommended. If you can't grind this stuff off, you're going to want to run something like flux core or stick welding on. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be stick welding. But ideally, you want to grind all the stuff off, and the main reason for that is because this coating produces toxic fumes. Thus, if it's not on here when you weld it, you're not going to generate those fumes. Now, keep in mind that this is one of those things. It's like if you get a stain on your shirt or whatever, you can clean it, but do you really ever get all that stuff off of there? I'm not so sure, and being that this is not something you want to take chances with, I recommend taking other precautions as well. First and foremost, I'm going to be wearing this fine welding respirator. This is a 3M 7502 model. Very nice, fits up underneath a welding helmet. You know, it's not big and bulky. The helmet can still close down over it while you're wearing this thing. And these things are not expensive at all. I'm pretty sure I paid less than $40 for this. I think it was like 30-something bucks shipped to my door. And I highly recommend this. You're definitely going to want to wear a respirator, and you're going to want that respirator to be designed for galvanized, you know, zinc fumes and whatnot. The next thing we're going to do is to use this nice fume extractor, which has that nice long arm that's going to eat up our fumes directly at the source, and it'll just suck away all the smoke, so I'm not going to be breathing it in through my respirator. Now, this is a very nice fume extractor. This is an Avani Environmental SPC 2000, and you know, it does work very well, but these things are not inexpensive machines. This setup here, as you see it, will run you roughly $5 grand, and I realize that not everybody has one of these things in your garage, so you might want to get creative with other ways to minimize your, you know, exposure to these fumes. One of which is ideally to weld this stuff outside if you can do that safely and if you're set up to do it, but otherwise you're definitely going to want to have all the doors and windows and whatnot to your garage open to provide proper ventilation. You know, I live out here in Ohio, and to be honest, there's not all that much, but we do have a lot of wind, which is really going to be nice for this today. I'm going to open up that other door and pop those windows up before we start NARC. So to summarize what we've covered so far, galvanization fumes are very bad for you. Some people are like, oh, I don't ever bother wearing respirators or nothing because that always happens to other people, and when I do it, I'm fine. But you know what? What I'll do is I'll go ahead and put some links in the description to, you know, horror stories with this stuff. Maybe I can find something from OSHA on it and whatnot. I don't think it's something you really want to take chances with, and it's relatively simple to protect yourself from these fumes. Just, you know, get some good ventilation and whatnot. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Fumes are bad, try not to breathe them, have lots of ventilation, and I guess that's about it. Now, like I said, this galvanized coating is not going to be easy to weld through. TIG welding it, that's just not going to happen realistically. MIG welding it, like I said, can be done. A lot of spatter, doesn't weld well, brittle weld when you're done, not good. If you can't grind this stuff off, which I highly recommend doing, you're going to want to go ahead and use some sort of a flux shielded process, be it flux core welding or stick welding. I'm going to be running some 7018 on this nice Hobart stick mate. And I guess that's that. We're just going to go ahead and splat that fitting down on this here fine piece of scrap metal that I found. And so basically I'm going to go ahead and put the respirator on, open up doors and windows. And I'll go ahead and fire fuel on him. Done, YouTube. Wow, that did not weld well at all, and it's really bright outside. Kind of squinting a little bit here, but anyway, nonetheless, that's my galvanized welding demonstration thing. I'm actually standing on the back side of the garage right now because I'm sure as hell not going to stand in the garage until it has a few minutes to air out, and I can't really just film this anywhere outside because there's probably 30-40 miles an hour wind out here. Y'all wouldn't even hear me. But one thing I want to show you guys is that, you know, I started welding this with 7018 and it was honestly worse than I thought it would be. I've welded galvanized stuff before, but I've always at least cleaned some of it off. That was the first time I'd ever not done that. And then, you know, because the 7018 was having issues, I switched over to some of this Lincoln Electric 5P 6010. This stuff is known for being able to go through anything, which it did. It welded through the crap. But as you can see, the tip of the electrode is turning white, presumably from the epic amount of smoke we got going on. And so, yeah, welding galvanized metal is not something I think you want to screw around with. Some people are like, oh, it won't hurt you that bad. But, you know, people die from doing this, so learn the facts and make your own decisions. I highly recommend, like I said, grinding off as much of that stuff as humanly possible, and then taking all the safety precautions you take if you're going to leave all that galvanization on there. But, you know, if it really comes down to it, you can weld through it with 5P 6010. The 7018, kind of. It did weld it. I didn't like the way those welds turned out, though. If you can't remove any of it, 6010, 6011, probably going to be the way to go. But anyway, I hope this answers some questions that some of y'all might have had about welding galvanized material. I'll put some links to cool and disgusting things in the description. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more. I'm gonna wait for the garage to air out and then I'll go back in there. And have a nice night, everybody. Yeehaw.